Well, what we've got for you is an embargoed item till 6 a.m. Wednesday morning. We record this on Tuesday, but it's very delicate that you've had to do an embargo on this item. Beneficial ownership, Chief Minister. You, Jersey, Guernsey, you're falling into line.
Well, we're not falling into line. We've got a long-standing reputation for having an international compliance with international standards, Paul. And as the Fifth Money Laundering Directive moves forward and the European Union develops its proposals, then we are outlining what the Isle of Man proposals will be to comply with that international standard. And that's what we've announced today. And it's not just the Isle of Man, it's Jersey and Guernsey moving together, showing what our programme will be over the coming years to comply with the Fifth Money Laundering Directive.
You had to do this, right? There was no option available. This was now forced upon you?
No, I've always said that when the Fifth Money Laundering Directive came into power, we would move and we would look at what the European Union are doing so that we can work with them and come up with a register that complies with the requirements of the Fifth Money Laundering Directive. 3 sections on this. By the way, working fast because I've only got you for a very limited time. So 2021 is the first stage where EU get access to your information. Yeah, it's where we share our register with the European Union, and we've committed that by the end of 21, our register will be available to the rest of the European...
What does that mean for most people?
Well, it means that France, Italy, Spain, their HMRC or financial intelligence units will be able to request the information on a similar deal that we're doing now, that they will be able to look at our registers and get the information that they need, and we will be able to do that to their registers for any requirements that we need on the Isle of Man.
And the B word doesn't affect this. Brexit doesn't affect this. So
no, this is an international standard. Irrespective of what happens with Brexit, we will be complying with this because it's an international standard. It's just worth pointing out that Jersey, Guernsey and the Isle of Man fully comply with the international standards currently on beneficial ownership, but it's moving forward.
Goalposts are moving fast.
Yeah, the goalposts are moving forward, and we're saying, right, this is our plan to ensure that we comply with those moving goalposts.
2021, sometime in that year. You haven't set your date, or have you?
Well, by the end of 21, we will have a register that will work and be interlinked with the European Union. Then, in January 2022, the European Union will be having a review of how its beneficial ownership public registers have been working, what's gone wrong, what's gone right. We will then look at that, and we're committing within a 12-month period from the European Union having that review that we will be moving legislation in our parliaments to bring our policy, our beneficial ownership on track. 3
tranches of that. That's the first one.
That's the first tranche, and then within a further 12 months. So
you asked another timetable. Okay. So I didn't see it in the schedule. Actually.
So by the end of 23. Our aim is to have a fully working public register of beneficial ownership.
And that's the massive bit. That's the bit that really takes all the advantages away from the Channel Islands, the Isle of Man, for trying to, with a better use of the word, hide who owns the business.
Well,
do you accept that?
It's the international standard. We've always said, Paul, that if something becomes an international standard, then we will comply. So the three of us have set out clear dates on when we're moving forward together for this policy. How
much has the OECD had to do with this? Are they whipping you?
No, this is, as I say, Paul, the Isle of Man and Jersey, Guernsey for that extent, already comply with the international standards. But as you've rightly said, the goalposts are moving. We have to reflect that in our policies, and we're giving a timeline of when we will be complying with the latest movement and the Fifth Money Laundering Directive.
You always say these things like Jersey, properties in London, 30% are owned by a Jersey company, another X amount by Guernsey and the Isle of Man, whatever. Is that the sort of thing that will be targeted then? People can't just hide who owns the businesses in the UK through an Isle of Man shell company or what to be?
Well, whoever is the beneficial ownership of a company,
least, isn't it?
Then that will be published on our register. But as I say, we have to wait and see how the European Union handle this first of all. At the moment there's 28 members of the European Union. I think only 8 have come up with some variant of a public register. So there's an awful lot of work to be done between now and then, and we will be obviously monitoring it, but I felt it important, along with my colleagues in Jersey and Guernsey, to lay out the guidelines, the pathway for the Crown Dependencies.
So you don't have to jump until the rest have all got into line as well then? Because you're not going to be the first over the line, are you, on any particular changes? You want everyone else to sign up first?
We're all working, the 3 Crown Dependencies are working together, so we'll have a very similar pathway
and people
going
say,
forward.
How's about Luxembourg? All these people within the EU, they're all claiming all sorts of things. Ireland, everyone's playing games with their, the way they deal with tax. Are we going to be left behind? Are we going to be uncompetitive?
Well, no. The whole idea is that the European Union are having a review of how they've got on with their public registers of beneficial ownership in January 2022. We will look at that and see what is the best practice, what's worked, what hasn't worked, and then we will develop our registers accordingly based on the best practice that the European Union have come up with, what will be then an international standard. Paul.
Now, I know business has fallen off on this very thing because the end was in sight. But what sort of effect is it going to have on Isle of Man PLC? Certainly the finance sector. How much?
Well, at the moment, all our businesses on the Isle of Man comply with the international standard. So all they will be doing is moving with the rest of the international community to a new standard. So as everyone will be doing exactly the same standard, obviously variance from country to country, I don't expect there to be a significant loss of business because all international companies will be complying with international law.
There's going to be a rogue place left in the world that will certainly still, a BVs or BVIs or something like that.
But that's not the sort of business the Isle of Man wants, where we have a reputation for quality business, Paul, a well-regulated business. And if something is an international norm, then we will expect other countries to be complying with the rules and regulations that we are.
Give an example since you've changed it anyway to allow access. How many requests have there been? Have they all been accepted? Have there been consequences?
We have an annual review with the United Kingdom government on their requests to look at our beneficial ownership, and I think it's in the teens, and we have complied within the rules for either 24 hours if it's a general request or 1 hour if there's a terrorist concern.
How many requests have there been?
In the teens in the last year, I'm led to believe. But it's also very interesting to note that the FBI have praised the Isle of Man, along with others, for the quality and information sharing of our beneficial ownership register.
So those teen requests, how many it was there dirty money in there? Is there prosecutions going on? Is there stuff that's still happening here that you don't want to happen here because we're such a fantastic jurisdiction?
Paul, sadly, no matter what jurisdiction you are, there will always be someone who will try and break the rules or bend the rules. We've put a significant amount of extra money into our financial intelligence unit, our financial crimes unit, to ensure that we catch them and we work with other jurisdictions in the sharing of information to enable prosecutions of people who go down that route. We don't want them on the Isle of Man.
How much did you get together with Jersey and Guernsey? How much was this? We're all going in one go.
Well, of course, we've had meetings to discuss working forward. I regularly meet with the relevant officials in Jersey and Guernsey, with Gavin St Pierre, the Chief Minister of Guernsey, and Senator Ian Gorst, who's the external relations sort of politician for Jersey. So regular meetings to discuss this.
Our time is almost up, but just finally, are you confident for Isle of Man PLC that this won't do damage? I mean, this is a perception that the outside the Isle of Man about being secretive, Jersey, Guernsey as well, and now it's all going to be, have a look through our books, everything's fine. Over to you. I mean, give it to us. How prepared are we, and how confident are you that this will not affect us?
Well, we're working with the industry. We have always complied with international laws. For example, Paul, we signed up to base erosion profit shifting. We were only the second country in the world. No one expected us to do that.
I want to hear you say something from you, though. I don't want this. You keep trolling out that thing. How much is it going to affect Isle of Man PLC? Do you think, seriously, as you and the businesses?
If you look at the substance requirements, everyone thought that would damage the Isle of Man. The Vickers report, splitting the banks into retail and wholesale, everyone thought that would damage the Isle of Man, where actually it turned out it's worked to our benefit.
So you're relaxed about it?
People are seeing that the Isle of Man is the go place to go. We're competitive from a cost point of view, and if the rest of the world is having to do it, then the Isle of Man, with its low costs of employing staff, etc., compared with other jurisdictions, is a good place to go. So yes, there will be changes for all our businesses on the Isle of Man, but it's no different than what they would have in the European Union or our colleagues in the Channel Islands.